This is a story of conflict so extreme, so incredibly violent, that it can only be described as medieval. Only it's set during World War II. This is the tale of the USS Borie and the German U-boat U-405. It's 1 a.m., November 1st, 1943. An American destroyer, the USS Borie, cuts through the frothing waves of the North Atlantic. For 3 days, they've been battling a raging storm. Visibility is poor, and the sea is rough, making this one of the worst nights to go hunting submarines. But Lieutenant Charles Hutchins, commanding officer of the Borie, has orders: find and destroy German U-boats in the area. Suddenly, on the radar screen, a blip. A surfaced vessel, about 15 kilometers away. Could it be one of the elusive German submarines? Hutchins orders the ship's cook to contact the galley and report what he sees. The cook grabs the phone. "Mr. Jones in the galley reporting," he says. "I see the enemy. He's coming right for us." Hutchins exchanges a glance with his executive officer. The blip on the radar is getting closer, and now the silhouette of a surface submarine fills the horizon. The game is afoot. Hutchins orders his men to prepare for action, giving the order, hard a starboard, full speed ahead. The Borie turns and surges forward. At 2 o'clock, the submarine is closer. It's a U-boat, a German U-boat, but because of the darkness and the storm, neither captain can clearly see the other. There's no time to waste. Hutchins radios his crew, "All hands, general quarters," a midship station, and then the U-boat opens fire. 2 bright muzzle flashes cut through the darkness. A shell screams overhead, kicking up a spray of seawater. "Fire back!" yells Hutchins. The Borie responds with a barrage of its own. The deadly game of cat and mouse has begun. Underwater, Kapitän Leutnant Rolf Heinrich Hauptmann struggles to maneuver his U-boat, U-405. His crew is frantically trying to recharge their batteries, which power the electric motors that drive the propeller. These motors are quiet, allowing the submarine to move without being detected. But they take time to recharge, and there isn't much time to spare. On the bridge, he sees the American destroyer bearing down on him. He has to get out of there. He gives the order to dive. All ahead, full speed. Hard right rudder. Crash dive. The U-boat banks sharply, plunging toward the depths. In moments, the American destroyer sweeps over the spot where the U-boat had been just a second before. Now invisible to the destroyer, Hauptmann thinks he's escaped. But above the roar of the waves and the wind, he hears a sound that freezes his blood. The unmistakable ping of sonar. He knows the Americans are still onto him, as the water temperature around him changes, indicating the destroyer is getting closer. He knows he must make a decision. In the cramped confines of the control room, the crew of the U-boat struggles to complete the dive. They're almost there, when suddenly the electric motor powering the propeller dies. "We're dead in the water," someone shouts. They're trapped at a depth of 40 meters, unable to go deeper, unable to surface. All they can do is wait for the inevitable. But before the destruction, there's a chance. The ship's cook stumbles onto the bridge. He'd left his post to call his wife back home, but now he sees the U-boat surfacing right behind the Borie. Hopkins and his crew aren't the only ones who realize the game is up. He races below deck and hammers on the steel doors leading to the crew quarters. "Come on, let's go, let's go, let's go." Back on the bridge, Hutchins sees the ghostly apparition rise from the waves behind them. He reacts quickly. Hard a port, reverse all ahead, full speed. The destroyer banks away from the rising U-boat. A wide-eyed sailor on the Borie calls out, "There's a boat coming out of the water right behind us." Suddenly the night explodes with light. The 80mm cannon on the U-boat blasts. The shell streaks toward the Borie, missing by a hair's breadth. Back on the bridge, Hutchins braces himself. For the return fire. Fire at will. he yells. The destroyer's guns blaze. As the shots break the darkness, the U-boat's 80mm crew, caught in the open, are mowed down by the 20mm shells. The U-boat's deck is immediately a scene of carnage. Hutchins orders the destroyer to come about and line its guns on the stricken submarine. He wants to finish this quickly, but he knows the U-boat has powerful deck guns. If given a chance, the submarine could turn the tables. Hopman looks at the smoking hulk of his 88mm gun. He needs to act fast. He scrambles for the wheel, barking orders at the crew. But as he does, more American shells land on the deck, sending shrapnel flying. He ducks behind a crate, shielding his head. With the 80mm gun destroyed, Hutchins makes his move. He wants to ram the U-boat, but his executive officer disagrees. "Sir, we'll lose our bow," he says, pointing out the danger. But Hutchins is adamant. "I don't care if we lose our bow, we'll sink that boat." As the Borie prepares for the charge, Hopman realizes the end is near. The U-boat is trapped. Its guns are silenced. It can neither fight nor escape. He orders the crew to abandon ship, hoping they might be able to swim to safety. With no warning, the destroyer crashes into the submarine, tearing a long gash in its side. The impact is tremendous. Hutchins feels the force of the collision jolt through the ship, but as he watches, the U-boat begins to list. The watertight doors ripped open by the force of the impact. The destroyer's ramming had worked, but the battle is far from over. Somehow the two ships are locked together, smashing into each other with every wave that crashes against them. The image is surreal, the destroyer riding high at the bow, literally hanging onto the submarine as it struggles to stay afloat. Then a horrifying sight, men in the water, wounded, some clutching lifebuoys, others struggling to keep their heads above the waves. The Borie's crew springs into action. Lifebuoys are launched, and men race to the rails to haul survivors from the icy waters. But as the Borie pulls away, she accidentally drives through the life rafts she'd just launched, sending them tumbling in the heavy seas. Sailors cling to the rafts, desperate not to be pulled further away from the Borie. Others are less fortunate, swept away into the darkness by the relentless waves. The U-boat's crew fights to stay afloat. Some are wounded, others barely conscious. But the cold North Atlantic saps their strength, slowing their strokes, numbing their limbs. On the bridge, Hutchins radios the crew. "All hands, abandon ship. The destroyer has taken damage. She's losing buoyancy, and the pumps can't keep her afloat. Of the 315 men on board, only 286 will survive." As dawn breaks, the USS Borie is a shadow of her former self, listing badly, her bow smashed and torn, a grim reminder of the brutal battle that unfolded in the darkness just hours before. The sea is littered with debris, oil slicks, and the bodies of those lost in the struggle. Far below, U-405 rests in her watery grave, the last resting place of 15 brave German sailors who fought to the very end. When you think of naval battles, what comes to mind? For me, it's always been images of ships firing broadsides, maybe battles like Jutland or Midway. But this story showed me there's more to naval combat than maneuvering ships and firing cannons. It can get very personal, very primal. As I was researching this story, I came across a lot of first-hand accounts from people who were on the ships, involved in similar battles. The descriptions were amazing. One account compared a boarding action to a scene from the Siege of Troy. Men fighting on the decks with everything they could get their hands on. And here, the battle ended not with the sinking of one ship, but with two. I'm curious what you thought of the story. Did it change how you think of naval combat? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. If you liked this episode, please hit the like button, subscribe, and ring the bell for more updates.